Hi, welcome to another episode of Parentology. Sometimes, a tantrum can look far bigger than the moment itself. The wrong cup, a broken biscuit, time to leave the park, a screen turned off, shoes they do not want to wear. And from the outside, it can seem completely out of proportion. It can look dramatic, unreasonable, manipulative even. And in those moments, it is very easy to think, why has something so small become such a crisis? Why is this turning into such a big reaction? Why can't they just calm down? That is often where the misunderstanding begins. Because if we look only at the tantrum itself, we miss what is driving it. And when we miss that, we often respond in ways that make it worse. A young child's emotional skills are still developing. They can feel disappointment very quickly, struggle when they cannot have what they want, and lack the skills to calm themselves once the feeling takes over. That is why a small trigger can sometimes lead to a very big reaction. And there is often more going on before the tantrum than we first realize. The trigger may have been small, but the child may have had less capacity than the moment required. They may have been tired, hungry, overstimulated, frustrated, or asked to shift too quickly from something they were still deeply engaged in. So the tantrum we see is often the final visible moment, not always the whole story. And this is where many parents get pulled into reacting too quickly. Because on the surface, the child may look angry, demanding, loud, or completely out of control. But underneath that, the child is often dysregulated. They do not yet have enough distance from the feeling to manage it well. And once they are in that flooded state, they are usually not able to think clearly, reflect well, or recover quickly on their own. This does not mean there should be no boundaries. It does not mean a tantrum should get a child what they want. But it does mean that in the peak of the moment, your child is often not in their best state for learning. They are in distress, and distress needs a different kind of response. Because when a child is already overwhelmed, meeting that overwhelm with more intensity rarely helps. It usually adds to the storm. That is why yelling often backfires here. And it can turn the parent into one more thing the child has to cope with, rather than the person helping them come back to steadier ground. So what helps instead? First, regulate yourself. Before you try to calm your child, steady your own body and voice. Tantrums can trigger a lot in parents. Frustration, embarrassment, helplessness, anger. The urge to shut the whole thing down as quickly as possible. But if you meet your child's overwhelm with your own overwhelm, the moment usually escalates. So the first task is not controlling your child. It is lowering your own intensity. Slow your breathing, drop your shoulders, lower your voice. Pause before you speak. Your calm will not make the tantrum disappear instantly, but it can stop you from pouring more fuel on it. Second, use fewer words. In the middle of a tantrum, long explanations usually do not help. This is not the best moment for teaching, reasoning, or repeated questions. Their system is already overloaded. So if we add too many words, we often add more pressure. Short language works better. You're upset. I'm here. You really wanted that. We're leaving now. I won't let you hit. Simple language helps because it gives the child less to process, and it helps the adult stay steadier too. Third, keep the boundary. Understanding the tantrum does not mean giving in. If the answer is no, it can still be no. That might sound like, you're upset. The answer is still no. These responses work because they acknowledge the feeling while still holding the limit. Fourth, teach later. In the middle of the tantrum, your child is usually not in a good state to learn the lesson. They are trying to survive the feeling. So this is not the moment for a big emotional talk. Think of it in two stages. First, help the child come back to calm. Then later, when the moment has passed, You can talk about what happened. That is when the lesson is more likely to land, because now the child is more available for it. And finally, tip 5, help their body calm down. To help your child calm down, focus on what helps them settle. That might mean moving to a quieter space, sitting beside them, keeping your voice soft. If your child wants closeness, you can offer a cuddle or hold them close. If they do not want touch, stay nearby without crowding them. If the environment is making things worse, reduce what you can. So that's the end of the episode. Thanks for watching. If you did enjoy this video, feel free to subscribe. You've been watching Parentology, and we will catch you again soon for the next episode.